Hey, Forge fans, it's the Forge Audio Network. Anthony Urciuoli with you. It's the matchday preview. Forge FC, Halifax Wanderers at Wanderers grounds in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Coming up on Saturday, it's a 2 o'clock game, right? Perfect for the weekend. You get some nice afternoon soccer in there, and then you have the rest of your Saturday afternoon and evening. I love the afternoon games. And this weekend, the second last regular season matchup for Forge FC. Thanks to their own efforts, Forge FC is in complete control of where they want to finish between second and fifth. It is totally in their control. Because as of right now, because of their monumentally huge win over Pacific FC, and this isn't hyperbole here. I mean it. The last two matches, if you are a Forge fan, now in case you missed it, Forge beat Pacific 3-1 at home on Saturday. This was a match that Forge, they needed 3 points if they wanted to finish in second place. With only a couple of matches left in the regular season, they needed those 3 points, and they needed Pacific to come away with 0. A draw would not have done them much good. They needed 3 points, and they absolutely delivered. And that's coming off of my favorite win of the season. I've talked about it extensively to you. We don't have to rehash the whole thing, but 2 weeks ago, that win against Valor on the road, blowing the 1-goal lead, having a call go against them that ended up putting them behind on the road. Valor needed points because they were trying to fight, for their playoff lives. And Forge went in. They scored 2 late goals, the tying goal, the winning goal. Then they hung on. It was a show me game. If you're a fan, even if you're the coaching staff, let's see what I have right now. What do I have as a group? And to me, that Valor win, it was my favorite win of the year. It wasn't the biggest win. It wasn't the biggest blowout. It wasn't the most dominating by any stretch. It was my favorite win because those are the matches you need to win if you want to be if you want to be a championship club. Can you win when nothing seems to be going your way? And they did it. And that carried over into this match against Pacific because, by the way, it was an uphill battle from the start. Same thing. Let's see what kind of character this team has. They showed it against Valor. And then the best part of this is they carried, it wasn't just, this wasn't a one-off type, lucky. They proved it. A week later, we know what Forge is. We know what they've accomplished. When things are going well, they are going well. But this year in particular, there have been some challenges. How does this team respond to adversity? Because there were some early tests this year where they didn't exactly pass with flying colors, but they got another crack at it. They've gotten better. They've rediscovered their identity. Let's give credit where it's due. We know what Forge has accomplished in this league. You forgot? Okay. This league has been around for 4+ years now. Forge has been to 4 finals. They've won 3. Probably should have won 4. Got a little bit unlucky with some scheduling and a mid-December match. We don't have to. It's painful. We don't have to talk about it. But they probably should have won 4 in a row. So it's a dynasty. It is what it is. This is a dynasty club. Here's the thing. Like any sports league with a salary cap structure, where there are limitations on your roster, where you have to get a little bit creative. In leagues, there is going to be parity. Teams are going to catch up, and they have. This isn't a knock on Forge. If anything, credit to Forge because they have played a role in this league's parity. When you are the top dog, clubs are looking, sports, every league, everywhere around the world, it is a copycat type. It is what it is. And as it should be in every facet of life. You look at the best, let's take parts of that and try to bring that into our club, into our life, into whatever we're talking about here. In this case, we're obviously talking about soccer. So Forge has brought the best out of a lot of other clubs who have now, I mean, they've caught up. Not all the way up, but they are better because of Forge. It's just a reality. And so because of that, it's been a tougher than normal year. And by the way, this club's in second place. I mean, it hasn't been a disappointing year at all, but we're so used to a certain level that there have been moments this year. Listen, we've been spoiled. It is what it is. There have been moments this year where you wondered, are they maybe taking a step back? Are they regressing? No, they're not regressing. The league is getting better. It's a good thing. It is a good thing if you care about the future of this league, of this sport in this country. It is a good thing. It's nice to win all the time, but you want it as competitive as possible because everyone wins when it's competitive. And this league has become more competitive. It's great. I mean, look at the table. Now there's some separation, but all year we've been talking about it's great. Every week, anyone can beat anybody. It's exactly what you want. But if you're a Forge fan, you were a little concerned here and there. I always give it to you straight, no matter what, with the good or the bad. I'm going to give it to you straight right now. If you are a Forge fan, you should feel great based on what we've seen the past 2 weeks. Forges, they'd have had to do some adjusting. Never mind adjusting. We haven't even talked about the fact that this team is kind of banged up. I mean, they're not even operating with a full tank. A handful of players missed that pivotal match with Pacific. And they had to make some tweaks and make some adjustments to their lineup. And Forge pulled out a 3-1 home win over Pacific. They gave up the first goal. It looked early on like Pacific was a little more lively. And then Forge just, they took over from there. Their big players were their big players. Guys stepped up. You had Rama scoring a goal. And we're going to get to Rama in a moment. But I think this team's in a great spot. We're gonna delve into this matchup this weekend more. Obviously, we're gonna look at the tables, top scorers, all those things, get the 3 keys. Before we do that, though, I want you to take a listen to Bobby Smirniotis after that 3-1 win over Pacific, where he talks about not getting the start he wanted, but the club showing resiliency and talking about some of his key guys and just the roles they played in that win. Here's Bobby.
Take away the first 5 minutes, I thought it was very good. It's after the first 5 minutes is exactly what we wanted on the pitch, what we wanted tactically from the guys, exploiting certain areas. The goals come from those situations, which we thought we could work on against them. I think Poku's been brilliant. He's a player we've missed in the last 2 games and throughout the season with little injuries and so on. But his quality is there on both of those service into the box and just the play running up to that. And our attackers have done the job, and Rama's also done a job today, his first goal, and it's a great reward for him for all the hard work and effort he puts in, for us on the defensive end of the ball. But I think we've done a very good job, and then, the game, it starts becoming tense as you get past that 70th minute. Both teams start realizing what the points mean. After 90 minutes, what it'll mean for each team, they start pushing a little bit more. We start sitting, and we know if you keep a very good compact block from them, you'll deal a lot with crosses. And I think we did a good job from that, and just find your moments from there. And great on the subs who've come in; they've all done a great job, and I'm very happy for Jordan and that goal he scored.
Now, one of the guys that Bobby mentioned was Kwesi Poku. I mean, he has been, I'm going to call it a revelation this year. He showed glimpses in his rookie pro season last year. Kwesi Poku did. He got a call up to the national team, U21 national team. So it's not that this is a big surprise, but the degree to which he has contributed. Now, last match should have given you everything you needed to know. Here's a guy that came in, coming off suspension. Again, one of the younger guys, just has a full tool set at his disposal. He's big. He can play physical. He can beat you. Those 50-50 duels, Poku, far more often than not, is coming away with the ball. And that was what happened in Forge's first goal. He played a part in 2 of those goals with his delivery, pinpoint accurate delivery from the flank. And the reality is he wins his battles. He outruns players. He's deceptive speed. He has those long strides as a big guy. He can be effective in the area, and he can be effective as a playmaker. Kwesi Poku is going to he already has, and he is going to play an even bigger role as we wind down the regular season and head into the postseason. I loved everything about his game in that match against Pacific. And it was one of those moments where, he's been away from the club for a bit with that suspension because of the red card. You certainly didn't forget about him, but I don't know that you thought he was going to be an X factor in a game like that, just because he is a younger guy, doesn't quite have the same experience as the others, but he showed up in a big moment, a big game. And for a guy that's missed a couple of matches, it is exactly what you're looking for in any of your players, but especially a young guy. He showed up hungry in that match against Pacific, and he is a major, major reason that Forge is now sitting in second place on the CPL table. Rezart Rama, in his second year with the club, we know what he brings as a fullback. A work rate like no one else. He's not going to lose many 50-50s. I mean, he's rarely going to lose a 50-50 battle. Just an absolute pit bull, a warrior, everything you're looking for in a player of his type. And he was rewarded with a goal that came off a perfect Poku cross, and Rama finished it with his head like he's been doing it forever. He looked comfortable, played the ball perfectly, and he ended up with his first goal in the CPL. Here, a few words. This is an exclusive. Rezart Rama after that win over Pacific.
Scoring goals in soccer is the best feeling, especially if you're a defender like me that you don't have many goals. Like, it was my first goal, second year in here. It's a great feeling. Like, to be honest, I was feeling a bit all day that I was thinking a bit of the goal. I was saying, I haven't scored a long time. Like, it will be nice to have a goal. And finally, it came. I really felt it that time because I know Kwesi's crosses are like the best crosses in the team and maybe in CPL I've seen. So I was ready for it, and I'm happy.
Now, it wasn't all positives during and after that match against Pacific. Very scary moment, especially if you were there at the match. I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard the stadium as quiet as I heard it. Forge FC's Malcolm Duncan and Pacific's Kunle Dadaluk went up for the ball on the far side of the Pacific half, far side from where I was sitting in the press box. Neither saw each other, and so they could not protect themselves. They collided, just head to head, full speed. It looked awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Neither was able to move. The camera, I had a monitor over my head, so I was taking a peek and just, it's when you see a player just with that look in their face where it just, motionless and expressionless, and anything involving the head, the neck, you are immediately concerned. So the ambulance drove onto the pitch. Paramedics, actually another ambulance had to be called. So there were 2 on the pitch. Both were carried into stretchers, and they were transported separately to hospital. The delay, I don't have the official time. I was just kind of keeping track. I asked around. The consensus was about 35, 40-minute delay, and that included a 10-minute warm-up for both sides because players and coaches were sent to their locker room and then eventually came out. So the latest is it's positive. Both guys were, by the time they got into the ambulance, they were moving, they were aware, they were conscious, they were speaking. There were reports that there was some joking around even as they were going into the ambulance. So yeah, good signs. And Malcolm Duncan actually posted a video. You can check out his social media just to get a latest on him. But so far, so good. Again, head, neck. There's always some concern there, but all things considered, good news, relatively. So thank goodness for that. Yeah, because it was a very scary moment. And for sure, for the fans, it was scary. But I mean, imagine if the players look concerned, those are their teammates, those are they're like family members. And of course, for the players themselves and their families, a very difficult moment. But thankfully, again, I just want to reiterate, all things considered, things are looking good. Things are positive. So that's good. And obviously, hopefully both wish them both a very speedy recovery. Moving on to this weekend, Forge, Halifax. They have responded very differently to the mounting pressure as the postseason approaches. We know what Forge did their last match. What did Halifax do? It was ugly. Vancouver FC claimed back-to-back wins for the first time in club history as they nabbed a 2-1 win over Halifax at Langley's Willoughby Community Park, courtesy of a late winner on an own goal from Daniel Nimick. Now, to begin the game, and I just want to, by the way, shout out to Alex Gange-Ruzik, a regular on this program from campl.ca. He covered the match, so a lot of the information I'm giving you is from him and his match recap. But Halifax came out. They started strong. They were the better team. They scored the first goal in the 42nd minute. They went into halftime with a lead, and they're looking. Now, if you want to look at the situation Halifax is in, they're currently in fourth place, but their playoff fly, they have not solidified anything yet as far as the postseason goes. Now, here was an opportunity against Vancouver, the expansion club, the last place club, for Halifax to secure a berth in the postseason. They had a lead going into half, and they did not respond well in the second half. It was all Vancouver. Vancouver does not dominate very much, but they dominated in front of their home fans in that second half, and everything was lined up perfectly. York had lost to Cavalry. York is the team on the outside of the playoff picture in sixth place. And so Halifax could have clinched a playoff berth with a win in this game, not needing any help from anyone. We talk about it all the time. If you're a club, being in control of your own destiny it's everything you want. It's everything you ask for. You want as much control as possible. Halifax had that, and they squandered it. As Alex Gange-Ruzik writes, perhaps sensing the pressure of the occasion, knowing what was at stake, Halifax started to sit back a bit deeper in the second stanza. So they did not respond well to Vancouver coming at them. They sat back, they played passive, too conservative, played not to lose, and as a result, they lost. Vancouver getting 2 goals in that second half, including that the own goal from Nimick, and Vancouver finished with better than 63% possession in that match. That is wild, considering Vancouver averages around 42% on the season. Can Halifax handle the pressure? How are they going to respond against a team like Forge? We will talk about that when we get to the 3 keys here. So for a full look at the table, let's go here. Cavalry at the top. They've already clinched. They are going to start the postseason with a home playoff game in this new page playoff system. Forge FC currently sitting in second place with 42 points. Pacific 2 points back, 2 games remaining. So Forge FC will need another 5 points, I guess, to guarantee. I mean, winning the next 2 matches will guarantee Forge FC finishes in second place. Why is that important? Well, if you're asking, you haven't been listening close enough, but I'll say it again and again and again. You finish first or second, the playoffs will begin. The playoff format begins with a 1 versus 2 match. So in this case, it would be Cavalry versus Forge. Cavalry would host. The winner of that match goes straight to the CPL final. They will host the CPL final. So all you have to do is you win 1 game, and you will go directly straight to the final. and host that final. What happens if you lose that match? This is why finishing second is so crucial. Finish in the top 2, you get that 1v2 match. If you lose, you go to the semifinal, and then you have to try to win again to get to the final. But you're not out. You get a second life. It is better than a bye. There's a final, CPL final play-in match. You don't win, okay, that's okay. You get another chance. You play a semifinal, which you will host. So Forge has guaranteed, if they finish second, they've guaranteed themselves a home playoff match no matter what. By the way, you can get tickets to that match now. forgefc.ca/tickets. Guaranteed Forge will have a playoff match. It will either be it'll either be in the CPL final or the semifinal, but either way, they are going to get a home playoff match. That is why you want to finish in the top 2. You get a second life if you do lose your first playoff game. Halifax coming into this one in 4th place with 36 points. They are 4 points clear of York with 2 matches remaining, so they need a win to clinch a playoff spot. They will be hungry, and they're at home this weekend against Forge. That's big for them because they are a fantastic home team. They have the second best home point total now. In 13 matches, they have 25 points. The good news for Forge, they are the best road team this year. And they are in the clear. They're not tied with the club. They're points per match. They are number 1 away from home. They have played 13 matches and have 23 points. That is the best road record. Head to head, it's been all Forge for the most part. They've only lost 6. They've played each other 19 times in total, these two sides, all time. And in those 19 matches, Halifax has just 3 wins. Forge has 8 wins, 8 draws. This year, though, Forge, they have not beaten Halifax. They have not beaten them once this year. There are 2 draws, and there was a loss at Halifax, 2-1 back in June. Yeah, head to head, well, like I said, Halifax unbeaten against Forge in their last 3. And low scoring affairs. 4 out of the last 5 matches between this club, there have been less than 3 goals, less than 2.5 goals. Team streaks, Forge FC, 7 straight matches now without a loss. Halifax has been fighting it a little bit. They have not shut an opponent out in their last 5 matches. They have, first to score. We talk about that stat a lot. And Halifax has been pretty good in that department. They've scored first in 6 out of their last 8. So it's an interesting matchup. You have one of the top home teams and the top away team going head to head. Something has to give in this one. Rubens Pasillas having a fantastic season. Hasn't played the minutes he did last year because of the depth on this squad. But as far as scoring frequency in minutes, goals per minute, Rubens Pasillas is number 1 in the CPL, averaging a goal every 137 minutes. Interestingly, 3 Forge players in the top 4. 3 of the top 4 scoring frequency. I don't know how to read this stat. The 3 out of the top 4 players in terms of scoring frequency play for Forge FC is what I'm trying to say. Rubens Pasillas, number 1. Jordan Hamilton, Taryn Campbell are 3 and 4. And Forge hit 2 more posts last match. Why is that noteworthy? For all the success Forge has had this year, they haven't been all that lucky. Forge FC has hit the woodwork 13 times this year. That is by far the league leader. By comparison, they've hit the woodwork 13 times. Halifax is hitting it 4 times. Did I say hitting it? Yeah, I said hitting. That they've hit the woodwork 4 times compared to Forge's 13. So it's noteworthy because how many times does one goal, one way or the other, completely change a match and change the result? So that is a big, big number. Some bad luck. And they hit 2 last match and still scored 3 goals. So that kind of gives you an indication of how well Forge played last match against Pacific. Key passes per match. So matches that essentially, well, they're key. They create offense. Kyle Becker, number 1 in the CPL at 2.1 per match. And the league leader in clean sheets. The best goalkeeper in CPL history. Tristan Henry has 9. The next closest keepers have 7, and they have a couple of those apiece. Hey, by the way, shout out to Chris Kalongo, the backup keeper. He had to come in last match after Tristan Henry had a bit of a scare, made a remarkable save, and he landed in a way it looked like his face just kind of like scraped the bottom post. Again, you worry about head injury, but all indications are that Tristan Henry is okay, but he had to leave that match. Kalongo came in. Forge was up 2-1 at that point, so they were hanging on to a lead. And when Kalongo came in, he faced back-to-back corners. And Kalongo was perfect. So that is a very difficult place to be in. High pressure, big match at home, facing 2 corners in the second half of a match where the players, they're warm. They've been playing. You've been sitting and standing. I mean, what else could you do? But he showed up and wow, he was clutch, made a big save at one point. Chris Kalongo was everything you are asking for in your backup keeper at this stage. So shout out to him for delivering. And by all accounts, Tristan Henry is okay. Before we move on to our 3 keys to the match, I need to let you know about the Out of Office Cup. I love this. This is a fantastic initiative. Out of Office Cup, presented by Forge FC. Enter your work team and partake in a 5-versus-5 soccer tournament at Tim Hortons Field, complete with a group stage, a knockout round that happens on Friday, October 6th. So it's coming up next Friday from 12 to 4 p.m. You get the opportunity to meet Forge players and coaches, play on the hallowed turf, and network with fellow businesses. Participating teams will receive club-level tickets to the regular season finale the following day against Atletico Ottawa at 4 o'clock at Tim Hortons Field. So this is fantastic. Love this. Love the idea. Love the initiative. Love all of it. If you want to register a club, you can email T Walker, one word, at forgefootball.club, or you can give them a call, 905-527-3674, extension 245. The Out of Office Cup 5v5 soccer tournament. Love it. Okay. 3 keys to the match for Forge FC, heading out east to Halifax for a crucial battle with a hungry Halifax squad. Forge want to maintain control of their post-season lives. Key number 1 for Forge FC, pack on the pressure. As I mentioned, Halifax struggled last week with the pressure of clinching a playoff spot. They scored first against last place Vancouver, then they sat back, got complacent, they sat way back, and they paid the price, getting dominated in the second half and losing 2-1 to Vancouver. The Wanderers showed some weakness, and now it's time to Forge. If you're Forge, it's time to attack, and then when you're done doing that, attack some more at Wanderers ground this weekend. Lean on that Halifax backline, make them feel pressure, make things uncomfortable, pack on the pressure. Key number 2 for Forge, start the presses. Forge have not beaten Halifax yet this year, and in their last match at Wanderers ground, Halifax, they built from the back. They were a little surprising in the way they attacked. A lot of teams try to beat Forge on the quick counters, not Halifax. They took their time, they were methodical, they didn't go for the quick counter. Halifax built through the back, they waited for players to get in position, they were patient. So there's a solution to that if you're Forge FC, and that's to be disruptive. Press the Wanderers back line, force them to move the ball quicker than they would like to, making them susceptible to mistakes. Start the presses is key number 2. Key number 3 for Forge FC, cross them up. Forge FC got a ton of production from its fullbacks in last week's win. Ramos scored his first ever CPL goal, and Poku created his own space and delivered with pinpoint accuracy repeatedly from the flanks. If Halifax leaves gaps out wide, Forge is well equipped to exploit them. It's not just about the delivery either. You need active bodies in the area, and Forge did that to perfection against Pacific. Now it's time to carry that over into Halifax, where a stingy Wanderer side can be tough to break down through the middle. Cross them up. build on what you started last week. Those are your 3 keys for Forge FC. And that is everything you need to know. Heading in to this weekend matinee between the Wanderers and Forge at Wanderer Grounds. Is it Wanderers Grounds or Wanderer? That's, you know what? That's on me to figure out. I'll report back in the match in review, and you can watch and listen to that immediately following that match on Saturday. You will get instant reaction right after the whistle. And if you don't want to listen to me, it's okay, because the Forge Audio Network, we have many voices. Mackenzie Barwell is delivering almost on a daily basis. Kyle Becker has his own show. Coach Bobby Smirniotis is in the mix as well. So much for you. And it's the perfect time because we're heading, it's almost playoffs. We're weeks away from the postseason. Forge just having to take care of business in Halifax first. Okay, that's it. Enjoy whatever you have going on between now and the game. And we're going to talk to you very, very soon.